God is calling you right now. Will you pause and listen? Stop scrolling for a moment, because what I'm about to say could be the very sign you've been begging God for. You've been asking Him, Lord, show me what to do. Give me a clear answer. And right now, He is answering you. This message may unsettle you. It may excite you, but it will confirm what your spirit has already been sensing. Because the truth is, God has already been speaking. The question is, have you been listening? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the exact ways God sends confirmation, signs you've probably overlooked, that can determine your next decision, your next breakthrough, even your future. And missing them could cost you years of your destiny. But seeing them clearly, it could unlock the abundant life you've been praying for. There are seasons in life when we desperately want to know whether we're making the right choices. The heart longs for certainty. The mind searches for clarity. Our prayers are filled with questions like, God, should I take this opportunity? Should I walk away from this relationship? Should I wait or move forward? In those moments of wrestling, God is not silent. He may not write the answer across the sky, but He does send confirmation. And if you learn how to recognize it, you'll see that He has been speaking all along. His confirmation comes in ways that are often subtle, sometimes surprising, but always intentional. Closed doors. One of the clearest forms of confirmation is when a door closes. We don't like this one because it feels like rejection. You prayed for that job, and the offer never came. You wanted that relationship to work, and it ended unexpectedly. You invested in something you believed would grow, and it fell apart. When the door slams shut, the natural response is confusion. God, did I do something wrong? Did you forget about me? Why would you let this happen? But here's the truth. Sometimes the very thing we see as rejection is actually God's redirection. Think of Joseph in the Bible. As a young man, he dreamed of leadership and greatness. But the doors in front of him seemed to slam shut at every turn. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, thrown into prison. Each closed door looked like failure. But years later, he stood in the palace of Egypt, second in command, with the authority to save nations during famine. Every closed door was actually pointing him toward the open door God had prepared. Closed doors are confirmation that God sees the danger or distraction on the other side, even when we can't. It may be the wrong timing, the wrong people, or simply not the place where you'll thrive. God's no is not rejection, it's protection. In your own life, think of a time something didn't work out, and later you realized you were better for it. That breakup that felt devastating, but spared you years of heartbreak. That job rejection that left you unemployed, but eventually led you to a career far better suited for your gifts. Those moments are confirmation that God's plan is bigger than your own. So, when a door closes, don't waste your energy pounding on it in anger. Step back and ask, God, what are you protecting me from? What are you preparing me for? A closed door is not the end. It's a signpost pointing you toward the path of blessing. Repetition. Another form of confirmation is repetition. When God wants to highlight something in your life, He doesn't just say it once. He repeats it until you notice. Think of Samuel as a boy. He was sleeping in the temple when God called his name, Samuel. He thought it was Eli, the priest, and ran to him. Again, God called, Samuel. Again, he ran. By the third time, Eli realized it was God speaking. Repetition was the key to confirmation. God still works this way. Maybe you've noticed a Bible verse keeps showing up everywhere, on a church bulletin, in your social media feed, in a random conversation. Maybe a phrase like "trust me" or "wait patiently" keeps echoing through sermons, songs, and conversations. At first, it seems like coincidence, but over time, you realize God is trying to get your attention. Repetition is like a divine highlighter. It marks what you need to see. Because let's be honest, humans are forgetful. We doubt ourselves. We question God's timing. We hear something once and dismiss it as random. So He repeats Himself until we stop dismissing and start listening. In everyday life, think of the times a theme kept surfacing for you. Maybe you kept hearing stories about courage when you were debating a bold move. Maybe you kept encountering reminders of patience when you were tempted to rush ahead. That is God's way of saying, "Don't miss this. I am speaking to you." So if you find yourself surrounded by the same message over and over, don't shrug it off. Pay attention. Ask yourself, why does this keep showing up? What is God confirming for me right now? Because His repetition is not random. It is deliberate direction. Peace in chaos. Another way God confirms His will is through peace that makes no sense to the world. Everything around you is falling apart. Finances are tight. People doubt your choices. Uncertainty looms large. And yet, in the middle of all that, you feel an unshakable calm. That peace is not natural. It is supernatural. Jesus said, "My peace I give to you, not as the world gives." Worldly peace depends on circumstances. If the bills are paid, the kids are healthy, the future looks secure, then you feel at ease. But God's peace shows up when circumstances are stormy. It's the kind of peace that lets you sleep in the boat while the storm rages, just like Jesus did with His disciples. This peace is a powerful form of confirmation. It's God's way of saying, "You're exactly where I want you to be. Keep moving." Sometimes people will look at you and wonder why you're not panicking. They'll say, "Aren't you worried? Don't you see the risk?" And you'll simply smile because deep inside, you know God has already gone ahead of you. Peace in chaos doesn't mean the road is easy. It means you're not walking it alone. It's a steady hand on your shoulder reminding you that the outcome is in God's control. Think about the choices you're facing right now. Do you feel restless, anxious, unsettled? Or do you feel a strange calm, even when logic says you should be nervous? Pay attention to that peace. It may be God's confirmation that you are right where you need to be. Wise counsel. Another form of confirmation is through wise counsel. God often chooses to confirm His direction through the voices of others. Proverbs tells us, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. When you are wrestling with a decision, sometimes God will send someone to speak wisdom into your life. Their words will align with what you've been sensing in your heart, and suddenly the fog clears. Maybe you've been praying about starting a business, and out of nowhere, a mentor encourages you with advice that matches what you've been hearing in prayer. Maybe you've been thinking about walking away from something unhealthy, and a trusted friend says, "You deserve better, and I believe God has more for you." That alignment is not random, it's confirmation. But here's the key: not every opinion is godly counsel. You need to discern the source. A wise counselor is someone grounded in faith, integrity, and love for God. Their advice isn't driven by selfish motives or fear. It is rooted in truth. When godly counsel aligns with the peace you feel and the repetition you've noticed, you can move forward with confidence. Wise counsel is God's way of reminding you that you don't walk this journey alone. He places people around you who will echo His voice so that you don't get lost in your own thoughts. Confirmation often comes through community. Resistance, finally. One of the most surprising forms of confirmation is resistance. When you decide to follow God's leading, suddenly things often get harder. Obstacles rise. Distractions increase. Critics speak louder. At first, this makes us question ourselves. If I'm doing the right thing, why is this so difficult? Shouldn't it be easier if God is in it? But the truth is that resistance is often proof that you're on the right path. The enemy doesn't fight what doesn't matter. If your decision has no spiritual impact, the resistance would be minimal. But when you step into your calling, opposition intensifies. Think of Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. The moment he began the work God called him to, enemies rose up to mock, threaten, and attack. The resistance was fierce, but it was also confirmation that he was building something significant. In your own life, think about the moments when resistance showed up right after you committed to a decision. You decided to get serious about your faith, and suddenly temptations came out of nowhere. You chose to pursue a healthier lifestyle, and suddenly everything tried to pull you back. That resistance is confirmation that you are walking in the right direction. Do not confuse difficulty with disapproval. Sometimes the very storm you're in is evidence that the breakthrough is near. Resistance doesn't mean God has abandoned you. It means the enemy sees what God is about to do through you. Pulling it all together, when you look at these confirmations together, a pattern emerges. A closed door that protects you. A repeated word that highlights God's message. A peace that steadies you in the storm. Wise counsel that echoes His voice. Resistance that proves you're on the path of purpose. One of these on its own can be powerful, but when two or three of them align in your life, the message is undeniable. God is speaking. He is guiding. He is confirming His will for you. The real question is not whether God is confirming, it is whether we are paying attention. Too often, we're so busy asking for a sign that we miss the ones already around us. the door that shut last week, the phrase that keeps resurfacing, the peace you feel when you pray, the wise voice that spoke into your life, the resistance that rose up. All of these are part of the confirmation you've been searching for. So pause for a moment and reflect. What doors have closed in your life recently? What words or themes keep repeating? Where have you felt peace that defies logic? Who has spoken into your life with wisdom? What resistance are you facing? When you start connecting the dots, you'll realize God has been confirming His direction all along. And once you recognize His confirmation, you can step forward with courage. You don't have to second guess yourself. You don't have to live in fear of making the wrong move. You can trust that the God who began a good work in you will carry it through to completion. When God sends confirmation, it's not meant for you to sit still in doubt. It's meant for you to rise in faith. The door that closed, the word that keeps repeating, the peace you feel, the counsel you've received, even the resistance you're facing right now. None of it is random. It is God Himself saying, I am with you. Move forward. Trust me. Don't wait for a louder sign. Don't ignore what your spirit already knows. The next season of your life, the healing, the breakthrough, the abundance, the wealth of both spirit and resources is waiting on the decision you make today. This is not coincidence. This is confirmation. And your confirmation is God's invitation. Step into it boldly, because everything you've prayed for is already on the other side of your obedience.